Life Unrehearsed, brought to you by Lianas Senior Transition Support, helping you navigate home care and senior residences.
And welcome back to Life Unrehearsed. Matt Del Vecchio, specializing in home care, elder care planning, and the senior living industry. This past Friday, as many of us heard, was International Women's Day. A couple of months ago, as I was prepping for this particular show, I was thinking about who would be an ideal guest on International Women's Day, and Gina Cody immediately came to mind. I reached out to her, and she didn't hesitate to say yes to join me on the show. Some of our loyal listeners may have heard my interview with Peter Mansbridge on Life Unrehearsed, where he talked about his book called Extraordinary Canadians, a very popular book, bestseller. One of the extraordinary Canadians featured in the book was Gina Cody. And I'm so pleased to have one of Canada's leaders in business, in life, and in philanthropy, one of the most influential voices for the promotion of women in what is known as STEM, which stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics. Miss Cody, welcome to Life Unrehearsed.
Thank you for having me. It's a delight to be back.
Well, thank you so much. How appropriate. International Women's Day. You have paved the way for many women. We have a long ways to go, as we're about to hear. But I would love to hear your story. You were born and raised in Iran. What led you towards studies in engineering?
I guess being born in countries in Middle East or even South America or Eastern Europe, engineering is a profession that is highly regarded. And since I was a child, I was sort of encouraged. My three brothers became engineers, so it was sort of, for me, it was spoken. And to be honest, the most important person in my life that encouraged me was my mom. Both my mom and my father were very encouraging and telling me all the time that education is what is important. And, you know, engineering being one of those professions that gives sort of the independence to women was something that was seeded in me from childhood. And I love making things. I love fixing things. So engineering was a profession that sort of suited me.
Well, you know, I love that. And probably a little extra determination having three brothers in being engineers as well, and might have motivated you as well. I love that. Now, you ended up immigrating to Canada and studying at Concordia University. I'd love to know how that came about.
I came to Canada during the Revolution in 1979, and those of you who are older, remember it was during the hostage crisis. It was really, the situation was in turmoil. I left Iran. I had finished my bachelor's of engineering. I came as a international student to do my master at Yale. I was supposed to go to McGill. And I arrived during the Labor Day weekend, right before the schools were starting, and my brother, who had just graduated from Concordia, said, Gina, there's this professor I mentioned, you are coming for graduate studies. He wants to meet you. And just remember, I left during the Revolution, and I had only $2,000 in my pocket. I was very young. I was 23 years old. Actually, I was 22 at that time. And so meeting this person was sort of something that I hadn't envisaged. So we went the day after Labor Day to meet this professor named Cedric Marsh. And after a couple of hours of the interview with me, he said, why don't you come to Concordia? We will give you a scholarship. I said, wow, like my life got changed. I had $2,000 in my pocket. I couldn't even pay my tuition. So I, right away, they issued me an acceptance, and he said, go to Immigration Canada and get your work permit. That afternoon, I came back to school. Things was different then. Things happened and materialized. So I came back, and he says, you can start working in the lab this afternoon. And I did.
Unbelievable.
then the rest is history.
The rest is history indeed. McGill's lost and Concordia's gained. A switch of a dime within a day. So amazing. Listening to Life Unrehearsed, Matt Del Vecchio here. I'm talking to the inspiring Gina Cody, real trailblazer for women in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So there you are. You got your master's degree at Concordia. You continue along, and now you get into the workforce, which is predominantly male dominated, and building engineers in particular. And boy, oh boy, you toughed it out with the boys, didn't you?
Yes. Something that helped me, I did my PhD at Concordia as well. And being at that time, there's nothing but 40 years ago, times were different. There weren't that many women that were highly educated and had PhDs in engineering especially. And now, go further, I was working in construction, which still is not that much mixed, and the percentage of women is very low in engineering and construction. So I was always the only woman in the room, and that became such a typical thing for me that I remember going to a conference. There were 700 attendees. I was the only woman. And the MC started the conference and said, "Lady and gentlemen." So that is the time of the day when I started my profession. But having said that, I always say that you can turn a negative to a positive, and that may be a cliche, but it really comes true, because rather than focusing on me being the only woman in the room, I always took it as a way of showing them that I know what I was talking, and I was always prepared. So if you know your subject matter and you work hard at it, then I was a perfectionist, which is good and bad at times. So they remembered me. And now being the only woman, they knew who that person is. And I had clients that they stayed with me throughout my career, all of them.
And
that helped me to build a business. Yeah.
You talk about build a business, and because it was, let's face it, through your knowledge, you knew your field, you knew your trade, but at the end of the day, it was a lot of hard work, a lot of perseverance. You built up a very successful career. You sold your building engineering consultancy company in 2016 and made a $15 million gift in 2018. That's only 2 years later, to rename the faculty you twice graduated from, now called the Gina Cody School of Engineering and Computer Science. So wonderful. Why this gift and why this renaming?
The gift was, as I mentioned earlier, I came with $2,000 in my pocket. At the time, you're young, early 20s. You don't, you have no fear. But later on, when you focus on what were you thinking of, Gina, when you did that? And universities changed my life at that moment by giving me a scholarship. And it dawned on me, how can I do that for all these bright students who enter the university and want to change their life, like me, be a better person, give back to their society. So donation was really giving back to the place that gave me so much, really changed my life. So to me, it was an obligation rather than just doing it. So that was the gift. And why renaming? As I mentioned earlier, more often than less, I was the only woman in the room on many occasions. And I didn't suffer, but I always cherished seeing and having more women engineers in the workforce, in the society, and feeling that we are at an era that technology is taking over our lives, not having enough women in engineering. And why is that? Because they feel that they don't belong?
Mm-hmm.
How do you make them to feel belong?
And at the
By
time,
renaming of the name,
and
yes.
the name
And
reinforces it, Gina Cody, and it was the first university engineering faculty at the time to be named after a woman in Canada, and now that's reinforced. We have to run out to traffic here, but when we come back, we're going to talk about some of the advancements in STEM and what more can be done to encourage that. Welcome back. You're listening to Life Unrehearsed. A change is going to come. Indeed. I'm Matt Del Vecchio, and I'm talking to the inspiring Gina Cody, who's a trailblazer for women in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, also known as STEM. She immigrated to Canada from Iran at 22 years old, built up an incredible engineering consultancy firm, and eventually donated $15 million to Concordia University, which was renamed the Gina Cody School of Engineering and Computer Science. We invited you, Miss Cody, today because it was International Women's Day on Friday. And are women today following your lead and enrolling more in the STEM fields?
absolutely, the numbers are increasing. Have we got to where we should be? We have still a long way to go. In Canada, in 2022, 34% of women participated in STEM fields as in this study. So the grads from the STEM fields were 34%, while the working women in the STEM fields were only 23%. So we need to increase the numbers.
Really?
While in EU is 43%. US is even higher at 27%. So we need to work on that and bring it to a higher number. And the reason is because we are in an era that our whole society with AI, Internet of Things, and the technology, the pace of it, that if women don't get involved, they would be really left further behind. That's what my concern is. And I was talking about that in 2016, 2018, when the renaming of the school came. And we see it today, that how important participation in this field is during this era of digital technology that we are facing.
Encouraging numbers of 34%, a heck of a lot different than when it was 700 to 1 at that conference you attended so many years ago. So we're heading in the right direction, but it's still a relatively low level of uptake from women, somewhat understandable, I guess, because we often hear that boys, they're more naturally more interested in math and engineering. So why is getting to parity so important?
The whole issue is that I believe the world is being built for those who build them. So if women don't participate, they will not be building the world of tomorrow. And this is not intentional. When you build something, you build it having yourself in mind for what you think is appropriate. I give you an example. The car safety features are all built by men. It's for average man height and weight. So what does that do? When women get into accidents, they have 50% higher probability of getting seriously injured more than men. For minor accidents, women get injured 75% more likely than men. So these numbers matter. And the reason is not that when they build these car safety features, they didn't care for women. It just they didn't think of it. So we need to be there so that we can build it for ourselves as well. So that parity is quite important, that we get there and participate. Otherwise, you will have a society that's built again by those who are building it. And we are not part of it. And we are half of the population. And technology is the most important thing these days in our lives. Everything is built on technology.
You know, it's so important. Those are some amazing examples, especially in that auto industry. Listening to Life Unrehearsed here, Matt Del Vecchio, with the inspiring, pioneering engineer, Gina Cody. We're slowly running out of time. Two very important points I'd like to bring up because, let's face it, women's participation in STEM still needs to increase. So are there any programs targeting this specific issue?
Absolutely. For example, what I do as a person is I speak all the time on the subject matter. The fact that we're talking about it, the fact that you're asking the questions right now, the fact that you invited me to your show, we are doing something. And these are the results. We have programs we bring, for example, at Concordia University, we bring students, young from high school for summer camp, and we bring companies, Google or construction companies, to mentor them, and they have programs. We have Women in Engineering Days. We have a lot of activities to promote women getting involved. And I can proudly say that at Concordia now, the percentage of women graduating in engineering went up to 31.5%. In graduate studies, which is master and PhD, the rate is almost at 30%. Engineers Canada is trying to promote 30 by 2030. Their aim is to get there because that's the pivoting point. So doing these things does matter, and we are getting there, and we are helping to improve the numbers, and it is improving. Have we got to where we want there? No. Still have to work.
So little ways to go, but very, very encouraging. Ms. Cody, we have about 30 seconds, but I know you're personally involved to shore up this deficit of women in STEM and towards other goals. Can you give a couple of examples?
The examples would be the classes. I speak, for example, on many events on a regular basis to promote the whole issue. We are speaking about changing the whole horizon, because the parents, everybody has to get involved on how do we make this transition happening. So the schools are more welcoming, the society is more welcoming, and we are all more understanding that we do need them.
That is great. We wish you continued success in spreading the good word. I want to thank you very much for taking some of your time, and really appreciate it. And on vacation, I might add as well. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it, Ms. Cody.
Thank you, Matt. Thanks for inviting me.
All right. That's engineering pioneer and philanthropist and a recipient of the Order of Canada, Gina Cody. Her namesake is part of the prestigious Gina Cody School of Engineering and Computer Science at Concordia University. Well, thank you very much for tuning in to Life Unrehearsed. And as a reminder, for all your inquiries or assistance with life transitions, home care, and the senior living industry, it would be my pleasure to help. You could find out more if you look up Lianas Senior Transition Support. That's Lianas, Lianas, Senior Transition Support. Many thanks to Dimitra Kritsidimas and Dario De Felice. Thank you both very much for a great show. And you can listen to Life Unrehearsed here on CJD 800 every Sunday at 4 p.m. And you want to join us next Sunday on our St. Patrick's Day special. Now we're going to head out to a CTV News update.